There are days in life that pass without a trace. And then there are days that change everything, even if you don't tell a soul about them. This Sunday is one of those days. It's not superstition, not fear, it's alignment. A rare point where your energy is being written into the next chapter, quietly, behind the scenes. And on this day, the smallest conversation can scatter what took months to gather. You won't see it happening, but you'll feel it. And when the day is gone, the door closes. That's why, my friend, you must hold your silence and guard it like gold. The day the universe demands your silence. Some days feel louder than others. Not because the world changes, but because the air itself feels different. This Sunday carries that kind of weight, the kind where the unseen is busier than the seen. The Andromedan elders used to say that silence isn't the absence of words, it's the presence of power. On this day, speaking too soon is like letting wind scatter seeds before they've rooted. It's not about avoiding people. It's about protecting the shaping of what you've been quietly building inside. Plans, hopes, a deep change in the making. Energy needs stillness to set. And just like fresh paint, if you touch it too early, you leave fingerprints that stay forever. Think about the times you've shared something too soon. How quickly it seemed to dissolve. Not because others meant harm, but because your focus leaked out through your words. This Sunday, the universe is leaning close, listening, writing your next page. It needs your voice to rest. That's the gift of silence. It acts like a seal. The less you speak, the stronger the binding. The binding keeps energy from fraying. And in a week when the spiritual climate is so charged, fraying is costly. It's strange how silence can feel heavier than noise, but that heaviness is not a burden. It's the weight of your own becoming, and sometimes the only way to carry that weight is to carry it quietly. Silence is not emptiness. It's a hand over the seed until the roots are strong enough to hold the tree. When words become leaks in your destiny, every word carries current. It either moves energy forward or it lets it drain away. On most days, small leaks don't matter much. But Sunday's energy is different. The threads of your path are being woven tighter, closer to your true shape. Every word you speak is a needle through that cloth, for better or worse. We forget how much power lives in what we say. That telling a dream before it's ready is like opening a bud before it blooms. It won't kill it, but it will weaken it. And this is not the weak for weakness. It's not only your words that can leak energy. It's the way they're received. A sigh, a laugh, a pause from someone who doesn't understand. Even unintentional doubt can bend the path you're on. This is why the chosen are often silent in their most important hours. There's an old truth. If you let the wind inside the boat before it's built, the boat won't sail. The same applies to destiny. You need a sealed space for the shaping. That's what Sunday offers you. The chance to keep the wind out until the vessel is ready. On this day, your destiny doesn't need explaining. It needs protecting. And you protect it by keeping it within the circle of your own breath. Some leaks aren't loud. They're the soft drips you don't notice until the container is empty. The subtle theft that happens in conversations. Most theft is visible. You feel it. You notice something missing. But there's a quieter kind. The kind that takes nothing physical and yet leaves you emptier than before. This happens in conversations more often than we realize. When you share the spark of something sacred, you invite another's energy into it. Even love can dilute a vision if the timing isn't right. Not because they wish you harm, but because every word exchanged changes the shape of what you hold. Like water poured into wine, the essence shifts. The theft is subtle because it feels like connection, and sometimes it is. But if your dream feels lighter after you speak of it, lighter in a way that feels less solid, less yours, that's the quiet loss I'm talking about. On this Sunday, the energy is ripe for birthing new paths. But birth requires containment. Not every person, no matter how close, is meant to stand in that room with you while it happens. The room is your mind, your heart, your soul's private chamber. Think about the times you've felt smaller after sharing something precious. Not hurt, not dismissed, just dimmed. That's the subtle theft. It leaves no wound, but it takes the shine. Some treasures are stolen not by force, but by being seen too soon. How Sunday's energy locks in your next path. Not every day writes your path in stone. Most days are like wet sand. Things shift, rearrange, wash away. But Sunday is more like clay just before it's fired. What you shape now will harden, and once it does, it carries that form for years. This is why stillness matters. In silence, your path takes shape from the inside out, without interference, without outside hands. Once you speak, you invite other hands to mold it. Sometimes that's good, but not on a day when the clay is almost ready for the kiln. You might feel a heaviness this day, not sadness, but gravity. That's your soul leaning in, making choices without the chatter of the outside world. It's a rare gift, and it asks you to honor it. The choices made in silence have a different strength. They don't have to fight for space. They arrive whole, and that wholeness is what carries you forward without stumbling every few steps. In this sense, Sunday is less about avoiding people and more about keeping the sculptor's hands steady. Yours, and yours alone. Paths are not always found. Sometimes they are made in the quiet where no one is watching. The invisible hand that tries to redirect you. There's always a countercurrent. Every time you step towards something meant for you, there's a subtle tug in another direction. Most days, it's small enough to ignore. But on a day as charged as Sunday, that tug can be strong. And it often comes disguised as someone else's concern, curiosity, or casual conversation. It's rarely malicious. Often it's someone who loves you, asking a harmless question. But that question plants a seed of doubt, or urgency, or distraction. And suddenly, your focus shifts by a few degrees. That's all it takes to miss the opening that was right in front of you. Think of your path as a river. On this day, the current is at its fastest. The invisible hand isn't trying to stop you. It just nudges you toward the bank. And if you follow that nudge, you slow down, maybe even get stuck in the reeds. Sunday asks you to notice the hand and not take it. To stay in the current even when familiar voices call you to shore. They mean well, but the shore is not where you're meant to be right now. The hand can't pull you if you don't reach for it, and silence keeps your hand to yourself. Sometimes, the greatest act of love for others is to walk this part of the path without them. The real test of this day isn't about how much you can avoid. It's about how much you can hold inside without breaking the seal. And that seal, it's about to be tested in stranger ways. Ahead, we'll talk about why even the gentlest voices can feel heavier, how ordinary small talk drains more than you think, and the ancient law that explains why silence strengthens what's unseen. Why familiar voices feel different on this day. It's strange. How someone you've known all your life can feel different without saying anything unusual. On Sunday, the familiar may carry an unfamiliar weight. The same voice that once brought you comfort might feel like it tugs at your energy instead. This isn't because they've changed, not in the way you think. It's because you are vibrating differently on this day. The shift in your field makes you more sensitive. You hear the unspoken tones, the subtle pulls in between words. You notice what normally slips by without thought. Even the gentlest concern can land heavily. A casual remark can feel loaded. It's not about mistrusting the people you love. It's about recognizing that the frequency they're in and the frequency you're in might not match for these 24 hours. Zeren once explained that in moments of energetic locking, outside voices create ripples that can bend the forming pattern. Not destroy it, just bend it. But when you're aligning with something precise, even a small bend can send you on a different path. So on this day, when voices feel heavier, it's not a sign of danger or betrayal. It's a sign of just how delicate your alignment is. The care you take with it is the proof of how much you value what's growing inside you. Sometimes, love means stepping back for a moment, so the seed can root before you let anyone touch the soil. The hidden weight in everyday small talk. We think of small talk as harmless. Weather, errands, small plans, a string of words that barely matter. But the truth is, even these light exchanges carry weight. On Sunday, that weight is magnified. Every sentence you speak carries an exchange. Energy flows out with your words, and theirs flows in. Usually, it's nothing to worry about. But when your energy is condensed, like it will be on this day, every exchange is a siphon. You give away more than you realize. And it's not about the content of the talk. It's about the fact that your focus shifts. One moment you're centered, holding your inner clarity like a stone in your palm. The next moment, you've handed that stone to someone else without meaning to. Small talk also opens small doors. Doors that let in thoughts, moods, even worries that aren't yours. Normally, they pass right through. But in this charged window, they can stick. They can lodge themselves into your forming path. You might notice yourself feeling unusually drained after even the shortest exchange. That's your sign. That's the quiet whisper from your energy saying, "Not today." It's not that small talk is wrong. It's just that some days, even the smallest door is worth keeping closed. When sharing your plans weakens their power, it's natural to want to share good news or an exciting idea. It feels like letting light out into the world. But here's the paradox. Sometimes, letting that light out too soon makes it dim before it has a chance to shine fully. On Sunday, your plans are like an ember. They're glowing, ready to catch fire, but still fragile. Every time you share them, you expose them to winds you can't control. Winds that may fan the flame, or blow it out entirely. You've probably seen this in your own life. You tell someone what you're working on, and suddenly, the momentum slows. Not because they doubted you, but because the act of telling it made you feel like you'd already done something. So your drive softened. Psychologists have even found that announcing a goal can trick the brain into feeling it's already been achieved. On this particular Sunday, that effect is doubled. The universe is holding a clear channel for your progress, and talking too soon scatters the signal. The strongest creations are the ones that mature in private before they meet the world, like fruit ripening unseen until it's ready to fall into your hands. The power you keep inside today will be the power you carry forward tomorrow. The spiritual law of sealed energy. There is an old law, older than books, older than temples, that says what is sealed grows stronger. Energy that is contained doesn't just stay the same, it multiplies. Silence is the seal, and this Sunday is the day to close it tight. Think of it like water in a jar. If the lid is open, dust and air begin to change it. If the lid is sealed, it stays pure, and pressure builds. That pressure isn't a burden, It's power. The same principle applies to your inner work. The spiritual law works because focus is like sunlight. Concentrated, it burns through obstacles. Scattered, it warms but doesn't ignite. When you speak, you scatter. When you hold, you concentrate. Many traditions knew this and wove it into their practices. Periods of silence before major ceremonies. Days of fasting from words, not as punishment, as preparation. Because the unseen listens closely to those who speak rarely and rewards them with clearer paths. On Sunday, your seal is your sanctuary. No matter how tempting it is to break it, remember, this is the law that turns ideas into reality faster than anything else. Some doors open when you knock, others open when you stand quietly before them. Why silence feels uncomfortable and sacred. Silence can feel like an empty room, and empty rooms can be unsettling. We're so used to filling space with sound that when the sound stops, our minds start talking louder. That's why silence can feel itchy at first. But discomfort is part of the sacredness. It's the sign that you're meeting yourself without distractions, that you're hearing the hum beneath the noise, and on this Sunday, that hum is your compass. It's not the kind of comfort you get from soft words or familiar chatter. It's a deeper comfort that comes after the initial restlessness fades, when you realize you can breathe more fully without carrying anyone else's story for a while. Silence asks for trust. Trust that you don't have to manage others' perceptions today. Trust that the work is still happening, even when it looks like nothing is happening. Trust that the universe knows exactly what it's doing with your stillness. Sacredness isn't always grand or ceremonial. Sometimes it's as small as choosing not to answer the phone. As simple as letting a question sit unanswered until Monday. Silence is the sound of your soul sharpening its edges. What happens next might surprise you, because the very forces that try to pull you out of your center will shift their shape. Ahead, we'll speak of the old cycles that come back for one last try, the deep sovereignty your spirit is asking for, and the strange ways divine messages slip into the quiet when you least expect them. The old cycles that try to pull you back. Cycles have a way of pretending they're gone. You think you've stepped free. You feel lighter. Then a small moment drags you back into something you thought was over. This Sunday, those old loops may knock on your door again, not with drama, not even with obvious signs. Sometimes it's just a familiar feeling you can't place. It could be an old doubt, a small insecurity, a habit that sneaks in when you're tired. And on this day, when your energy is crystallizing, these old cycles sense it. They're like vines trying to wrap around fresh growth. Not to kill it, but to keep it in familiar shapes. That's why the pull feels comfortable, even warm. Old patterns don't always come back as trouble. Sometimes they come back disguised as safety. But safety can be a cage if it stops you from stepping into what's truly meant for you. Silence helps you notice the difference. Without constant chatter, you hear the texture of these old patterns. You can feel which ones make you smaller, which ones dim your pulse. And noticing them is the first step in refusing them. This day isn't about fighting cycles. It's about letting them pass without inviting them in. Sometimes the greatest strength is in not reacting at all. Not every echo needs an answer. When your spirit needs full sovereignty. Sovereignty is a quiet word for a fierce thing. It means your soul holds its own shape, even in the presence of strong winds. This Sunday, that sovereignty is not just a choice, it's a necessity. Without it, your alignment can tilt before you even realize. Full sovereignty doesn't mean rejecting others. It means holding your own center so firmly that no one's emotions, opinions, or energy can move you from it. and that takes a stillness most people avoid. On this day, your spirit will feel the tug to give pieces of itself away, through over-explaining, through quick reassurance, through smoothing over the silence others might not understand. But if you hold steady, you'll find a rare clarity, the kind that can only arrive when you keep every thread of your being in your own hands. Sovereignty also means allowing yourself to be misunderstood without rushing to correct it. Let people wonder why you're quieter. Let them fill in the gaps however they choose. This day isn't about being seen. It's about being intact. In the long run, every moment you protect your sovereignty on days like this becomes the foundation for bigger leaps ahead. The truest strength isn't in how you stand when watched. It's how you stand when no one is looking. How divine messages arrive in the quiet. We often think divine guidance comes as a grand sign. Lightning in the sky, a sudden voice, a dream that feels undeniable. But more often, it comes in whispers so small you'd miss them if you weren't listening. And Sunday's silence makes those whispers audible. When you strip away the noise, your inner world becomes a wide open field. That's where messages land. Not with urgency, but with a gentleness that asks you to lean in. It might be a phrase in your mind, an image that stays, a sudden knowing with no logical source. The reason so many miss divine nudges is because they rush to fill the quiet. They look for signs while talking over the space where signs appear. On this day, silence is the invitation for the unseen to step closer. And here's the thing. Divine messages rarely arrive in full form. They're more like seeds. The more you hold them without showing them, the more they grow. That's why Sunday's stillness is so precious. You're not just hearing guidance. You're giving it time to root before the wind can scatter it. You'll know the difference between your thoughts and something greater because divine whispers carry a weight that feels both new and familiar. They settle into you instead of passing through. Some answers don't arrive when you ask. They arrive when you finally stop speaking. Why not everyone can hear your vision? Your calling. It's tuned to a frequency that not everyone is built to receive. That's not judgment, it's simply the truth. On most days, you might explain and re-explain, trying to bridge the gap. But on Sunday, that gap is exactly why silence is golden. When you share something delicate with someone who can't hear it yet, they often respond in ways that shrink it. Not out of malice, but because they can only meet it with what they know. And sometimes, what they know is too small for what you're carrying. That's why some dreams wilt in the open. They need time in the warmth of your own belief before they can survive in other climates. It's not about keeping secrets. It's about giving your vision a chance to grow strong enough to withstand the weather of the world. You might feel tempted to share out of excitement, or even to seek reassurance. But reassurance from someone who can't hear your frequency often leaves you emptier, not fuller. That's the quiet wound of premature sharing. So this Sunday, you're not withholding, you're protecting. You're making sure your vision is nourished before it's tested. A seed never asks the wind for permission to bloom. The subconscious agreements you never meant to make. We think agreements are made with handshakes, signatures, or clear yeses. But some of the most binding agreements are made without a word, just through where we place our attention and what we choose to answer. In conversation, even a small nod can become an agreement in the unseen, a shared doubt, a mutual fear, a belief about yourself that you don't actually hold, but you just absorbed by not guarding your space. On this Sunday, those micro-agreements carry more weight. They can set threads in motion without you realizing. silence breaks that chain. When you don't respond, you don't anchor the energy. It passes by instead of taking root. And that's one of the quiet powers of this day. You get to choose what enters and stays. It's not about paranoia. It's about awareness. Knowing that in a charged moment, your agreement, even unspoken, is like opening a door. And sometimes, keeping the door shut is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. Think of all the doors you've opened without meaning to. Then think of how much lighter your path might feel if those doors had stayed closed. Not every knock is worth answering. The path we're walking now is narrowing, not to trap you, but to focus you. And in the final part, we'll step into the deeper truths, how love itself can be twisted and reclaimed, how isolation becomes strength, and why the moment Monday arrives, you'll carry something no one can take from you. When the gate closes until the next cycle, some doors open every day, but there are gates that appear only rarely, and if you walk past them, you may not see them again for months or even years. This Sunday is such a gate. You can't force it open, and you can't hold it there. It moves with the rhythm of the unseen. The gate isn't a physical place. It's a point of alignment where your thoughts, emotions, and the universe's current all match in one single note. That's why the smallest disturbance matters. Even a casual word can throw you just far enough from that note to miss the passage. When the gate closes, it doesn't slam. It simply fades. The day ends. Life goes on. But something in you knows the moment has shifted. The clarity you felt is harder to reach. The inner certainty feels softer. That's the cost of letting the moment slip. This isn't meant to bring fear. It's meant to show you the value of presence, of choosing to stand still in the gate instead of wandering away to explain yourself to others. The world will wait. This alignment will not. And when it closes, it leaves you changed, either because you walked through or because you didn't. Both teach you something. Both shape the next cycle. Some gates don't need keys. They need you to be quiet enough to notice them. The strength you build in chosen isolation. Isolation has a reputation for being lonely, even harmful. But chosen isolation, the kind where you step back with intention, is a forge. It heats you, shapes you, strengthens you in ways constant company never can. This Sunday, your silence is your training ground. Every urge to speak and every temptation to explain becomes a weight you lift. And each time you hold back, you grow stronger in your own presence. That's the kind of strength that doesn't shout. It hums quietly in your bones. In chosen isolation, you meet yourself without distraction. You find out how steady you can be without leaning on the energy of others. And you discover the deep calm that comes from knowing your path doesn't depend on constant external feedback. It's not about pushing people away. It's about pulling your energy back into your own center so it's solid enough to share later without losing it. That kind of foundation can't be built in noise. What you build in chosen silence becomes the spine of every decision, every risk, every dream you take forward. It's invisible to others, but unshakable to you. Alone is not empty. It's concentrated. Walking into Monday with untouched power. When the day passes, you'll notice something different. Not in the world, in you. The energy you've kept sealed will feel heavier, but not in a way that burdens you. It will be weight in your hands, ready to shape, untouched, intact. By not scattering your focus, you've kept your momentum pure. You'll find that decisions come easier, confidence feels more natural, and the quiet voice of your soul is louder than before. That's the reward of protecting the day. It's not just surviving it, it's arriving on the other side with more than you started.